A tale of two industries. Berklee Valencia is cool AF. And chin up, America. Welcome to the Unlimited Supply Podcast, your daily music business TLDR in your ear, powered by a strict adherence to routine, and brought to you by No Disc, helping music, technology, and finance companies navigate the music industry. It's Friday, November 29th, 2024. I'm Lars Murray. It's Finance Friday, Black Friday to be specific, and I'm on a train in Spain. They have Black Friday, but they don't have Thanksgiving. I asked the locals how they know it's Black Friday, or actually now it's expanded to Black Week over here, if there's no Thanksgiving. And the answer was good old-fashioned advertising. We could have exported a day of family humility and secular grace, or a day of doorbusters swathed in a cloak of doom and stress to the rest of the world. Guess which one we did. Hold that chin up, America. Nobody beats us at selling stuff. Of course, Black Friday doesn't quite hit the same in the music industry these days, now that retail has ceded the initiative to streaming. No more frantically busting open the box lots to refresh the end cap. No more frantic calls to the one-stop for restock. No more sad miscalculations headed for the cutout bin. Nonetheless, it's now enshrined globally as the unholy day of commerce, and we get to enjoy it like any other consumer. Well, I see we're already in the shallow money trench where thieves and pimps run free, so why not dive a little deeper and we can climb out later. The big headline of the week is Will Page's report over at pivoteconomics.com finding that the global value of copyright in calendar 23 had reached $45.5 billion. I assume it's even higher now, but that was up 11% year on year, 26% since 2021, and it's almost doubled since 2014. 63% of that went to artists and labels. The other big headline was that the value of global music copyright has now outstripped cinema box office, which has actually gone in the other direction from $41.9 billion to $33.2 billion between 2019 and 2023. Of course, box office is a consumer figure and copyright value is an ownership figure. So it's apples to Valencia oranges. Sorry, couldn't resist. And hey, artists, as bad as you might have it, at least you're continuing to get paid, while creatives who took Netflix advances as buyouts will never see another dime. Anyway, going back to that 63% to artists and labels, of course, it doesn't differentiate between artists and labels, and the deals are all over the place. As Daniel Ek loves to point out, artist contracts are as much or more to blame for poor payouts from streaming as the streaming model is. We're not going to litigate that here, but there are two big tale of two industries who gets to get rich stories circulating as we close out Thanksgiving week. First of all, Spotify execs get rich. Daniel Tenser's story in Music Business Worldwide got a rather loud headline shouting out the big Spotify cash out of 2024, which is now over $1 billion in stock sales. Actually, that number would be $1.14 billion if you include Spotify's non-executive board members. Of course, it's not just Daniel Ek, but as we reported a couple of weeks ago, co-founder Martin Lorentzen, whose total cash out amounts to $556 million this year. We're not going to name all the other names who cashed out big. We'll stop at double-digit millions. But if the names Gustav Soderstrom, Alex Nordstrom, Barry McCarthy, Katarina Berg, and Paul Vogel don't mean anything to you, suffice it to say they're wealthier than you or me, and certainly wealthier than Laura Jane Grace, who seemingly does not get rich. A hat tip to Sean Adams of Drowned in Sound, who reposted a tweet from the former leader of the rock band Against Me, Grace, concerning the economics of a one-month European tour and the basic impossibility of making the tour break even despite having pre-sold 75% of the tickets. It's hard to adjudicate fairness in a historically cutthroat business like the music business, and to be a little bit fair to Spotify, it stands to reason that if your company has a few hundred or a few thousand employees, dividing up 30% of nearly 50% of global streaming revenues, you're dividing that 30% pie among very few people and not the tens or hundreds of thousands of artists supplying the music. But if Laura Jane Grace can't tour profitably after almost 20 years in the business and having once been the subject of a major label bidding war, something is out of whack. It may not even be the streaming model. It may just be the ticketing model, or it may just be that kids don't want to see rock bands in clubs or theaters as much as they used to. It's certainly not as simple as streaming bad, Laura Jane Grace good. However, unironically, chin up Laura Jane, None of the people named above are as cool or talented as you are, and that is priceless. I'm happy to hear from anyone who has a strong opinion on this, and I'm happy to provide a soapbox if you have an axe to grind on it. Hit me up. Climbing out of the money trench, a couple of other headlines. Turns out Kevin McGurn won't be posting up Under the Net on behalf of Triller as it waits for news of TikTok's fate. As we reported earlier this week, Sean Kim is coming in as head of Triller's app division, but McGurn, who's a veteran of Vivo, Hulu, and T-Mobile, will not be coming aboard after all. Daniel Tenser noted in Music Business Worldwide coverage that Triller offered no explanation, which probably translates as one seat to fill and two butts to fill it. Of course, this is unlikely to matter if TikTok saves its own butt in the US, so we'll just have to wait and see. To end Black Friday on a lighter note, a couple of executives on the move. We've noted the peculiarities of Korean HR, but this one makes sense. Global music powerhouse HYBE has named Shin as president of their flagship label Big Hit Music. Apologies for any pronunciation fouls I've committed. She was a key player in the development of HYBE's artist training system, which it is now exported to the US. It's very hard to build a machine in the music business, and she certainly had a big hand in doing just that. It's quite the contrasting career path to that of Min Hee-jin of Adore Music, whom HYBE called the cops on last spring before ultimately dismissing her at the beginning of this month. Big congrats to old friend and colleague Brady Bedard, who's joining Elliot Grange's new look Atlantic Records as EVP of promotion after 26 years at Columbia. Leaving the Yankees of the music industry is never an easy decision, but sometimes you gotta spread your wings. Best of luck to you, Brady. And finally, thanks to Emilien Moyon and Alexandre Perrin of Berklee School of Music's Valencia campus for hosting me and giving me a tour of the facilities. It's an impressive operation. It's got interesting programs and cool AF facilities right in the heart of the Ciudad de las Artes y las Ciencias in Valencia, which is the closest thing you will ever see to real-life Star Wars. You gotta see it to believe it. Anyway, thanks to my friend and colleague Cliff Fluet at 11 Advisory for making the intro. And thank you, Emilien and Alex, for graciously hosting. I look forward to returning, and you're welcome on the pod anytime you have an axe to grind. And farewell, Valencia. You had a couple of tough months, and you still received us warmly. Here's to a strong recovery for all of the affected areas. Support for the Unlimited Supply podcast is provided by RoyFi, which offers the lowest rates and fairest terms on advances in the industry. If you're interested in taking your career to the next level without surrendering any rights or leverage, RoyFi is your advance funding solution. And by Hangout.fm. Hangout by Turntable Labs is the new social listening platform where users connect, discover new music, and play over 100 million songs with their friends and family. Hangout is the best place to do a listening party for a new release, so if you want to set one up, check it out at Hangout.fm. If you want to contact our sponsors, feel free to hit me directly on LinkedIn or at Lars@Notisk.com. If you like what you hear, don't tell me. Give us a rating and or a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and tell a friend or three. Preferably 5 times, because every new development in digital music needs to be repeated at least 5 times. To get unlimited supply every single day, follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Links are in the show notes. Hit me at unlimitedsupplypod.com, on LinkedIn, or at lars@notisk.com to make suggestions, to feed us tips, to feed us lunch, to call us out on our dubious assertions, and to tell us what we're missing out on. That's Black Finance Friday. In the words of the great philosopher Eduardo Rivadavia, don't let your short-term greed get in the way of your long-term greed. And remember, in this business, no conflict means no interest. Have a great weekend.